Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel Java with John. Today we are diving into a really practical and essential part of Java programming, getting input from the user. Think about it. Most of the programs we interact with need some way for us to provide information, whether it's our name, whether it's a number, whether it's a command. That's where the scanner class comes in. It's a powerful and flexible tool in Java that allows your programs to read various types of input, like strings, like integers, doubles, and more, directly from the console or even from files. By the end of this session, you'll understand how to set up a scanner object, how to use its different methods to capture user input, and build more interactive and dynamic Java applications. Let's get started. So now, the approach that I would like us to take is that we are going to create several classes which are going to demonstrate, or we are going to demonstrate how to read input of various types. For the first class, I would like us to read integer input, which is basically numerical data. So we shall first save this. There. Then I'll just come here and add main method. Let's understand something first before we begin. To use the scanner, there are a few steps that we have to follow generally. The very first step is we have to import the scanner utility, which basically is our way of telling Java where to find the scanner class. Second thing, we need to create a scanner object. So this object is going to be responsible for reading the input. The third thing is we need to prompt the user. It's not mandatory, but it's good practice to tell the user what you expect them to enter. The other thing is that we're going to use a scanner method to read the input. So scanner has various methods for various data types. We're going to look at all those. The last thing is we need to close the scanner object. This is very important. When you are done with the scanner object, you need to release the system resources. So for that step-by-step approach, we're going to tackle it this way. So step 1, we import the scanner utility. So for that, allow me to write it first and then we discuss. Now, Java has an import statement which allows you to import the entire package, or in the case of what we have just done, a specific class. Now, a package is simply a container that groups related types. So packages help you to reserve the class namespace and also create maintainable code. Think about it this way. We are simply making scanner to be locally available within our class so that we're in a position to now use it. So that is step 1. Step 2, from the discussion we had earlier. So step 2 is create a scanner object. Let me start there. So for this, I can just maybe call it scanner. That. Then we have system.in. Now, create a scanner object. Let me finalize this. Linked to the standard input stream. The constructor of the scanner class expects us to notify or to tell it where it should be expecting the input from. So in our case, we are simply telling it that it should be expecting the input from the keyboard, simply. So standard input stream, which is from the keyboard right there. Now, step 3. Step 3 is prompt the user. That is step 3. When it comes to prompting the user, since the first class is on integers, let's maybe create a simple prompt that will be asking the end user for their age. So please enter your age, something of the sort. From there, step 4, use next int, which is a method to read the integer input. So next int is a method that is provided to us by the scanner class, and we're able to invoke that method because we already have an instance of scanner. So I can come here and create a variable called age, and then I can assign the scanner object calling the next int method. So this half is going to read that specific integer that we're going to be passing, and then it's going to assign it to this variable called age. From there, display the information back to the user. So for that, print line. For that, you entered, then age, then years old. We can display the information in that manner. So the very final step that we had discussed, step 5, is we close the scanner, and that one is simply going to involve us just having to invoke, sorry, slight mistake there, having to invoke the close method right there. So for the very first example, we are done. Now, how does this work? Let me explain it probably in a comment. So the method reads the next token, because that is how scanner works. It works by separating your input into tokens. So it reads the next token of input as an integer. As another explanation, a token is typically a sequence of characters separated by a white space. In other terms, because this is something we're going to encounter later, the white space is the default delimiter that is used. So there is our first program. Let's try to compile this. Read integer input .java. Hopefully it compiles without any issues because we don't have any syntax errors. From there, we can just attempt to load the bytecode. So please enter your age. Let me say my age is 35. Then it's going to display the information back to the end user. So that is the first example. And that is basically how scanner is designed to work. For this other example, I would like us to create another class. So read double input. So I'll save this first. There. Then we shall follow the 5 steps that we had discussed. So we import the scanner utility first. From there, let me add main. main. From there, we shall create an instance of the scanner class. So scanner, complete with a predefined standard input string. From there, we shall give a prompt. So print line for our prompt. Since we are talking about double, the best way to depict a double would be maybe to ask for the price. So enter the price of an item. Then from there, we do have a specialized method for handling this. So use next double to read a double. So for that, we can create a variable of type double. Maybe let me just call it price. Then we shall come and assign the scanner object calling the next double method right there. From there, we shall display the information back to the user. So in system.out.println, yeah, so the item cost, and then maybe we can use dollar there. Then we can close the scanner. That was step number 5, which was basically the final step right there. So that's the second example that we have. So those are the 5 steps, and this is another example. We're just looking at an example of how we can read double, input of type double. So we can come back here, we can compile this. So read double input Java. So after it compiles successfully, we're just going to load the bytecode. So, yeah. Enter the price of an item. So let's say 150. So it's going to give us that as the cost of that particular item. So that's the second example. Now, interestingly, with scanner we normally have 2 methods that we can use to read string input. The 2 of them are slightly different, not too different, but just slightly different, because we have a method that we can use to read a single word. Then we have another method that we can use to read an entire line of input, meaning we can use it to read including the white spaces. One thing to note about scanner is this. When we talked about the delimiter right here, the tokens are treated as that sequence of characters leading up to the white space. So the white space is considered where the input is supposed to stop or terminate. The white space in this case is the enter that we press on the keyboard. Now, let's look at this example. So read single word. Let me call it that. Read single word. So we save this first. We come back here and add main. Just allow me, because this is ultimately going to be the same, allow me to just copy. I think I made a mistake there. Anyway, I'll copy that and this part as well, because it's going to be the same. There. So when it comes to reading a single word, we basically begin with a prompt, as we did with the other 2 programs. So our prompt is going to be enter your first name. There. From there, we have a method called next, which we use to read a single word. A single word means that it will stop at the white space. That is where it's going to stop. So we're going to create, I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call it first name. Then I'm going to use the scanner, not class, but object, sorry. I'm going to use the scanner object to call the next method there. From there, we can display the information back to the user. So out println So we can maybe display it as a greeting. Hello. We concatenate the first name, then maybe we can just terminate with an exclamation mark at the end there, like that. From there, the final step was we need to close the scanner object right there. Okay, so let's test this and see. So we're going to compile, Java C, yes, read single word .java. It should compile without any issues. Yeah. Then so my first name is John, and we get that. What if we were to add more than one? So John, what if I was to do that? It's only going to read the very first word. Remember, the point was it's going to stop at the white space because that is how it's designed to work. So that's the first method that we have when it comes to reading string input. Apart from next, we do have a method we call next line. Next line reads the entire line of input, including the spaces, until the point where it encounters the new line character. So new line means at the point where we press enter on our keyboard, it's going to get up to that point. So for us to maybe create that, I can call this read entire line. Yeah. Then let's save it first. I always find it efficient to basically save the classes first before doing anything else. So we add main. You'll allow me to copy this and also this part here, because they are basically going to remain the same right there. Okay, so let's start with a prompt. Our prompt is going to be something simple. So tell me something about yourself. So we can give an example. So e.g. your favorite hobby. That's the example we're going to give. So for this, it's paramount, very important. Use next line to read the entire line. So we can create a variable. Maybe I can just call it about me. Then what I'll come here and do is use the scanner object to call now the next line method there. From there, we shall just display the information back to the user. So you said, then we can come and append about me. But now, since a suggestion I would pose or I would have is that we can add this as reported speech. So for us to make sure that the quotation mark is going to be printed, we're going to be escaping into the quotation mark right there. Then on this other end, we are also going to do the same. We escape into the quotation mark just to ensure that it is going to be displayed. And also, let's not forget that we need to close the scanner object right there. So let's see how this works. Let me first clear all this. So we're going to compile read entire line .java. Just a moment, and then we're just going to run it So tell me something about yourself. One thing I know is I like reading. So we get that. That's the second example when it comes to strings. There is a conversation here, however. Ultimately, when it comes to next line, what normally happens if we were to create a program that basically is going to be reading input of type integer or double, and then immediately after we would like to read a string. So there is, at times, the program is basically going to just terminate. Let me give an example to just illustrate the problem. So let's see. Scanner fix. Let me just call it that, because it's an issue that always arises, but there is always a workaround. There is always a way around the issue. So what I'll do first, we shall add that. Then we can come and add this. Okay, main first. I'll paste it there. So a prompt. Actually, there is even no need of rewriting this, because I'll need this. I'll just get rid of the comments. For now, we don't need the comments, since we just understood what they do. Yeah. So we are asking for the input of age first. Then next we can ask for the input of, let me copy this. I wanted to illustrate the problem of what normally happens. So enter your full names. So this is going to be renamed to full names. And because we expect the names obviously to have white space in between, this is supposed to be next line right there. So finally, we display the information back to the user. And let's see how we format this. So name, and then full names. Then we can come and proceed to age right there. So we are talking about a problem, and let's see how the problem first exposes itself. Sorry, right there. Let's see. So I shall just come here. We shall compile this. Scanner fix. Yeah, Java. Then we load the bytecode scanner fix. So enter your age. I was 35 years old. There is the problem. That right there is the problem. It has asked, it has displayed the next prompt, but it has not given the end user a chance to type in their input. Now, with that problem, it's a very common pitfall for beginners. Actually, it's very common when it comes to scanner. So when you use methods like nextInt, nextDouble, or next, they only read the numeric value or the word that you entered, but they do not consume the new line character, which basically means that enter key that we're going to be pressing. If you then immediately proceed to call the next line as we are doing here, it will consume that leftover new line character before you can enter more input that is leading to your next line. So it means the next line, this part here, is going to be skipped. So to fix this, because it's possible to fix it, what we can do is we can call next line immediately after nextInt or nextDouble or next. Next line that we call after right here, next line. What this is going to do basically is that it's going to consume the leftover new line character before you try to read another full line. Simply, that is what it's going to be doing. So, as we have said, so the fix is right here. Consume the leftover new line character after reading the integer. That's what we're doing right there. So this should fix the issue. If we come and try this again, the scanner fix class, so we compile, no syntax issues, then we try to load the bytecode. So enter your age. My age is 35, and then my name. Yeah, so now we are good, we are sorted. So that is scanner. Now for our scanner class, some key takeaways as we conclude. Always the first step is to import the scanner utility. Next, always create an object of scanner. Then we said it is not mandatory, but it is necessary to prompt the user, and this actually makes your program to be user friendly. After that, choose the right method. So when it comes to the methods, we have looked at nextInt, which we use to read integers. We have looked at nextDouble, which we use to read floating point numbers. We have looked at next was here, which we use to read a single word. Remember, this one is going to stop at the white space. We've also looked at next line right here, and next line is going to be reading an entire line, including the white spaces, but it's going to stop at the new line character. Then the final thing that we've done is that we've talked about how we can fix the scanner issue. So add an extra next line or a call to the next line method after nextInt or nextDouble or even next if you intend to read a full line immediately afterwards. So if you won't have this, if you don't intend to read the full line afterwards, there is no need. From there, the final thing was that after you're through working with your scanner utility, please close it. It's good practice, because with this we are trying to avoid resource leaks. So with these examples, they provide a solid foundation for using the scanner class that allows your Java program to interact with the end user. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following along. Please remember to subscribe and share, like the video, and until next time.